Mornings are good for worms and early birds, maybe a cup of coffee, but some of us come alive at night, even without caffeine. Now, do you remember playing Pokémon Silver at night? Because I do, and this is Johto After Dark, where I push my skills to the limit and build a team of nocturnal Pokémon. That's right, I can only catch Pokémon that appear exclusively at night. And with only a few night owls here in Johto, this should be interesting because I can't catch static encounters, I can't trade, and I want to enter the Hall of Fame. Furthermore, starters will only be good for one catch and then they get permaboxed. So what do you say? It's time to get this clock set and get this adventure rolling. Come on! Since the internal clock mechanism utilized in Generation 2 triggers the spawning of certain Pokémon throughout the day, that means morning exclusives appear solely between the hours of 4 a.m. and 9:59 a.m., day Pokémon between 10 a.m. and 5:59 p.m., and the nighttime Pokémon that I'm interested in between the hours of 6 p.m. and 3:59 a.m. Despite all that, I'm gonna get an early start today and grab a starter and make my way towards Mr. Pokemon's house. It's not even dinner yet, which means a lot of daytime Pokemon are still appearing, and I can't catch them, and Fetch won't benefit from any experience in the long run as it will be permaboxed soon, so I just decide to make my way towards Mr. Pokemon's house as quickly as possible and progress the story. Now, of course, I'm more than happy to help Mr. Pokemon and Professor Elm with their research, but I'm not going to be able to use whatever hatches out of these mystery eggs. On my way back to Professor Elm's lab, I run into my rival, who has selected a Chikorita as a result of me selecting Totodile. This is somewhat strategic, and you may understand in a little bit. Now, while I don't actually think I'm much help in this investigation, it is close enough to nightfall for me to peace out to Mom and set off on my adventure. Thanks to one of the assistants at Elm's lab giving me some Pokeballs, I can immediately begin my hunt for the first nocturnal Pokemon available in Johto. Just have to wait for the right moment. Ah, there it is. Night. That was easy. All right. So that means the first night owl we encounter in Johto is, well, it's an owl. It's Hoot Hoot. Of course, you might have guessed. Route 29 is the first place we encounter this. And I'm going to catch this as quick as possible. But that does mean, once I do, I have to go deposit Totodile post-haste. Since there are only a handful of nighttime exclusives available in this run, I plan on catching more than one of some of these Pokemon, and Hoot Hoot is going to be one of those examples. I will evolve one into a Noctowl and keep one in its original form. Of course, I'm going to need a little more diversity and some support on my team, so I'm heading towards Sprout Tower to find a Ghastly at 7:22 p.m. And much like I'm deciding to do with Hoot Hoot's evolutionary line, I will do the same to Ghastly's evolutionary line. However, I'm only going to catch 2 Ghastlys, seeing as I cannot obtain Gengar. But overall, I think I'm okay with that because catching Ghastly at a low level means it still retains the move Hypnosis. But like some cruel joke, it learns Dream Eater much later on. And many of you know that Dream Eater is a pretty decent move. Not only does it hit pretty hard, but it also means that your opponent is asleep and it heals your Pokemon just a bit. After finally catching this first Ghastly, I am out of my initial stock of Pokeballs, so I think I should go replenish those and go catch a few more team members before I head inside Violet City Gym. And as many of you know, the Violet City Gym is filled with bird trainers. Their normal and flying type hybrid Pokemon resist any type of ghost type moves. And that means Ghastly is pretty much ineffective if it were not for the move Hypnosis. And it works like a charm. Well, when it's accurate enough, that is, but at any rate, it's time to put these birds to bed. By switching my team members in and out, I can put them to sleep and start debuffing their attack with Hoot Hoot's growl. This is very important, you see, because in Johto, obedience works a bit different, and my Pokemon are pretty close to the first obedience cap of level 10. And since Faulkner's birds now know the moves Gust and Mudslap, I'll need to be pretty careful here, but growling at my foes while they sleep proves to be pretty effective, and it's enough to secure the Zephyr Badge. The Zephyr Badge will allow me to train my team members to level 20 without any fears of disobedience, and each subsequent badge will raise that cap by 10 more levels. And as you can see here, my team took quite a beating. So that means it's time for a little nighttime grind. Hey, shouldn't you be in bed? As I train my team and progress towards Azalea Town, opponents will have more diverse movesets, meaning Ghastly is now more susceptible to taking damage. So by keeping my foes dozing, I can become their worst nightmare. But considering we are using a limited roster of Pokemon, there are certain risks involved. Let's just say that means I'll be burning the midnight oil, training my team against a wide variety of trainers in order to prepare myself for the upcoming battles with Bugsy and my rival. But I'm fairly certain that by the time I reach the bottom of Slowpoke Well, release them from the grips of Team Rocket, help Kurt back to his place, and fight a couple of the Bug-type trainers inside Azalea City Gym, I should be prepared enough to face off with Bugsy and claim the second badge. Bugsy's first Pokemon are still in Chrysalis form and stand no chance against a tandem attack from Ghastly's Hypnosis and Hoot Hoot's super effective Peck. My team may appear to be somewhat underleveled at this point, but after all, Johto isn't known for the best level curve. And Bugsy's ace, Scyther, at level 16 won't even stay awake long enough to build any momentum with its Fury Cutter, meaning the Hive badge is mine and I can cut to Ilex Forest. After a quick battle with my rival, that is. Now, if you recall, I mentioned earlier that our starter choice has minimal effect on the playthrough by only determining your rival's ace Pokemon, and the rest of his team is in fact predetermined. So by choosing Totodile as my starter, at the same time as knowing that Hoot Hoot would remain a staple on my team, I could set up my Ys to go toe-to-toe with his Bayleaf. So far, this decision has been playing to my benefit. So by the time Bayleaf wakes up, the battle is already over, and it's time to collect my next Night Shifter. That's right, Oddish, available in Ilex Forest, is in my crosshairs. Conveniently, while I'm trying to help catch this Farfetch'd, I'll also be able to catch this Oddish, who will be able to learn HM1 Cut and allow us to advance forth to Goldenrod City. Although there won't be any nocturnal Pokemon in the vicinity of Goldenrod City, I'll still have plenty to do throughout the wee hours of the night, namely training my new Oddish named Aho. Not only will this night-dwelling weed Oddish learn the move Cut, but it will also provide us some excellent balance and coverage against water-type trainers I face later. However, I'll still need to obtain an HM slave to progress further, but first, I have to survive the night. And being a suspicious character and all, there's plenty of opportunity to gain XP, facing off with officers and other various trainers, in preparation for my battle with Whitney in Goldenrod City. Now, none of my Pokemon will be permaboxed if they faint, but I've been doing a great job so far keeping them in good shape. I just wonder how long that will last. Finally, at level 21, Aho evolves into its secondary stage Gloom, which is great news, but Gloom requires the Leaf Stone in order to evolve into Vileplume, and one of Johto's greatest downfalls is not making elemental stones available until post-game Kanto. The next day, I retreat underground from the sun to hone my skills against some Pokenerds here in the underground passage in Goldenrod City. Not only will the XP be welcomed, but also these battles can help me gain some insights on how best to handle various Pokemon types I'll encounter in the future. I'm starting to think that if I want to enter the Hall of Fame with my Nocturnal team, I'll have to be a little bit brazen at times and try to use what moves I have available. This level 9 Magnemite, for example, will take about 4 licks from my level 17 Shade. So I definitely know that Jasmine's steel types are going to require some nasty tactics, like Curse coupled with Hypnosis to keep my owls from harm, as they won't make a scratch. Fortunately, I have a few super potions in my pack to help Shade along through this battle, but going forward, I have some major concerns about just how dependable Hypnosis will be. In fact, it cost Wise a visit to the Poké Center after I faced off with some of Whitney's gal pals later that afternoon. But my team pulls together to secure a victory, and I took it as a sign to train a bit more before attempting to earn the Plain badge this evening. Just south of Goldenrod City, Wise is looking a little bit rough when it jumps into battle with this Drowsy, but shortly thereafter, it will evolve into its secondary form, Noctowl. Now, my owls could fall pretty quick to Whitney's Miltank and its move Rollout. But hey, it's no secret that XP is somewhat scarce here in Johto, no matter what time of day you're training, so I'll need to head a skip north of Goldenrod City and challenge some trainers there. Despite there being a lot of trainers here in the area of Goldenrod City and National Park, which I haven't even visited yet, I'm nowhere near my level 30 cap, and trainers like this juggler here, they're not helping much. Are you kidding me? Level 2? Who am I kidding? Johto still has a special place in my heart, and by nightfall, I think I'm ready to face Whitney. Back in the day, Whitney and her Miltank garnered quite a reputation for being a challenge to newer trainers in Johto. Not only could her Clefairy sing and metronome, put the unprepared in a precarious position by disarming her foes and randomizing attacks, but the move Attract could immobilize her opponents approximately 50% of the time, leaving them hopelessly in love and unable to attack at all. But I've got plans tonight, so I'm not about to let her Pokemon stay awake long enough to slow me down. And let's not forget our first experience seeing Miltank smash through entire teams of fresh-faced newbies in Johto. Don't try to deny it either. None of us could expect the increasingly devastating effects of rollout as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed new trainers. And given Johto's already skimpy variety by this point in the game, you probably had at least one flying type on your team get crushed, but not tonight. Shade is but a creature of the night and cannot directly damage Miltank, but can lay a curse and retreat. Meaning Aho is the one for the job. Even though my owls know the move Hypnosis, it is still pretty inaccurate and I'm not willing to risk their lives. And luckily for me, Aho gains access to the move Sleep Powder as it levels up. So while training, I opted to give up Poison Powder in order to disarm Whitney's Miltank. Going forward, there's a lot of tough decisions ahead to make, and as a matter of fact, there are a lot of things I should be considering right now in terms of how to complete this challenge beyond claiming the plain badge. And there's no question about it, a grind will be necessary day or night. Only catching nocturnal Pokemon greatly reduces my typing coverage, both defensively and offensively, so some of my Pokemon and I need to put in a little bit of overtime. But first, we're gonna take a little break overnight in Ecruteak City. There's a lot to do visiting Ecruteak City, but I'm not interested in facing Morty just yet, no. In fact, I'm planning a slight detour. The next day, I'll visit the Kimono Girls as their evolutions are an excellent source of experience at this point in the game. And I'll remind them that even though it's daylight out doesn't mean I won't turn the lights down low. And might I add that facing the Kimono Girls makes me a little bit sad that I can't obtain an Eevee to get an Umbreon as a result of a nocturnal evolution, since Eevee is diurnal, albeit rare in the wild day or night. But I'm not just here to turn this place into a haunt. That's right, I need Surf because I'm sure you're wondering, well, what nocturnal Pokemon can you catch next, Burger? Well, this swimmer here reminds us that Staryu gather near the surface of the water near Olivine City at night, but I have to get there first. Along the way, I'll need to keep an eye on my Ghastlies, as one will need to evolve into Haunter pretty soon, and there are plenty of opportunities to gain more experience facing trainers on the way to Olivine City. After beating Whitney, all Pokemon up to level 40 will obey me, but I'm a long way away from that cap, so I'll take some time this evening to face my rival in an optional battle here at the Burn Tower. His Pokemon's levels are pretty much in line with my team, but this is an opportunity for me to see if my strategies are still holding up at this point in the game. Remember that his team is predetermined, so you can think of it as a sneak peek into the future. And speaking of the future, I'll need to tailor each of my Pokemon's movesets to mitigate any necessary exposure to dangerous foes, as I'll be considerably vulnerable at times with restricting my team to the finest in late-night Johto. Some moves will keep my opponents subdued long enough, but even a seemingly easy battle against one Pokemon like this Mr. Mime proves that Hypnosis, with its lower accuracy, will require me to balance my team level in case things go left. Furthermore, I need to save TMs to use on the right Nocturnal team member, so until I am sure who needs to learn what, I will opt to keep moves like Nightshade for its consistency. Much later that night, I finally arrive at Olivine City to heal my team up and prepare myself for a little bit of night fishing. In fact, I think I can see the Staryu lighting up the nighttime coastline from here, which is great because we haven't added another Nocturnal team member since I caught Oddish. Not to mention, Staryu can help us surf the high seas here in Johto. Get out of here, Krabby. Unlike other Pokemon found only at night in Johto, Staryu offers access to water-type moves and has a high base speed stat. And with the proper training, a Staryu could be extremely useful against Jasmine's ace Pokemon Steelix because of its steel and ground typing. And Surf could help me bypass the risk of failing to put it to sleep fast enough, as my night shifters here generally lack defense. Yes, I'm afraid it's getting that deep here in Johto. I knew when I set out, this was no ordinary silver experience. Eyes on the Hall of Fame. But as I added Staryu to my growing night decks, I recognized just how far we've come in a few short nights. And then the future nights come into full view. I've got a long road ahead, so it's time to train and prepare to claim the Fog Badge so we can help Jasmine at the lighthouse. Staryu shines immediately, but evolves with a Water Stone, a reality I came to terms with when hunting Oddish that night in Ilex Forest. So my Nocturnal team and I certainly have some training to do as well. When I said that it was getting deep overnight in Johto, I wasn't necessarily referring to where I would farm XP from Tentacruel after earning the Fog Badge, but I was now considering its effects. Not only would I need to restock on antidotes and super potions to keep my night crew healthy while encountering swimmers with their unique teams, but I should consider the EV yield of the wild Pokemon I choose to farm. But with limited options for now, this could be difficult. So I'm headed back to Ecruteak City to face off with Morty. Now, Morty and I have a somewhat similar style, I gotta say. I kinda like this guy. It's pretty clear that I'm not the only night owl here in Johto with their sights set high. Unfortunately for Morty, my night shifters and I sort of feel like we've written the book at this point, since we spent so many sleepless nights training. That's right, they say there's nothing new under the sun. Well, for us, it's been the opposite, right? All kidding aside, Morty is no pushover either. He's gonna do his best to put my Pokemon to bed early and then eat their dreams. But at this point in the battle, it's who will hit with Hypnosis first. And just like that, his final Pokemon serve as a great source of experience. And we earn the Fog Badge. Now, I would like to thank all of my fellow night owls out there watching, but I've got a lot of late night grinding to do, so if you don't want to miss a conclusion, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. Peace.